to vote, please register today. If you are at the age of 16, please register today. If you are at the age of 18, go to the polls and vote this election. Our first speaker is Summer Marshburn. She was an organizer of the National School Walkout for New Hanover County High School. She is 14 years old and has always been interested in politics and social justice. She attended the Women's March on Washington and the March for Science in Wilmington. Now Summer has something to say. Let's welcome Summer as she comes.
Who is here because of fear? Who is here because of fear? All of the recent student activism as presented here today is a result of fear. This is what has driven us all here. Gun violence has led us to fear for our lives. 1 month and 10 days ago, 17 different families and 17 different groups of friends began living their lives in fear. Fear of being alone, of living without your best friend or your child, but really fear for any other student that ever has to experience gun violence. Parkland is not the first school shooting, and until Congress acts, it won't be the last. 0 gun reform laws have been passed since Sandy Hook, and for most people, they haven't even been thought about. We believe that more laws will equal more lives saved. Francine and David Wheeler lost their first grade son, Ben, at the Sandy Hook shooting. He was one of 20 first graders slaughtered in 2012. His mother says, I want to keep talking about Ben all the time because I want his spirit to stay alive. David, Ben's father, says they are all terrified of forgetting what Ben looked and sounded like. He says, the liberty of any person to own a military assault weapon and a high-capacity magazine and to keep them in their homes is second to the right of my son to live. A student survivor from Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School named Sam Zeich, in a listening session with President Trump 1 week after the shooting, where he lost his best friend and almost lost his younger brother, says that school used to be fun for him and that it was actually his safe place. But that after experiencing all of that fear, he doesn't know how he'll step foot in that school again. Philip Skeenchuck, the father of a Parkland victim, says that people constantly tell him they can't imagine what he's going through. He replies with, well, you should. You should try to comprehend your 16-year-old daughter, who you're beyond proud of, and who's just starting to live her life, being riddled by bullets. You should try to imagine the medical examiner giving her back to the funeral home, and you being told that you can't see your daughter's body, and that they'll be spending days working on it. Politicians, I challenge you to imagine this. Imagine your child trying to save his classmates' lives, only to be shot 5 times and killed. Imagine your daughter dying on Valentine's Day, or sending your first grader off to prepare to celebrate the holidays with their classmates, only to never see them again. As of right now, all current high school students were born after or around 1999, the year of Columbine. Our whole educational lives have been surrounded by lockdown drills that turn into jokes and school shooting threats that turn into tragedies. No adult will ever understand what it's like to be a student right now.
That's right.
That's right.
Over the years, these tragedies have become normalized. Fear has become normalized. But we don't want to be afraid anymore. Fear has no place in our schools. There have been close to 17 school shootings in 2018. And in the 5 weeks since Parkland, there have been plans and attempts for middle schoolers to shoot up schools, teachers firing guns, a 17-year-old shot and killed by her classmate, and multiple children caught with guns. As students, we spend a lot of time imagining if this happened to us. But for thousands of families, it's reality. My name is Summer Marshburn, and I demand a change. The victims of shootings, their friends, and their families deserve so much more. But for now, let's start by honoring the thousands of lives lost over the years and remembering each of the schools that have had to experience gun violence in 2018 with a moment of silence. Great Mills High School, Maryland. Seaside High School, California. University of South Alabama. Huffman High School, Alabama. Jackson State University, Mississippi. Central Michigan University, Michigan.